do you ever feel like a fraud? Or feel like people will find out that you're not able to do the things that you say you're going to do, and that those same people might cast you out so you no longer belong to whatever you're trying to belong to? These are real feelings that affect women more than men, but this is still imposter syndrome and we're still dealing with it. And a lot of people deal with it at certain points throughout their life. So we're going to talk about it. This is day 3 of going live in July, all 31 days. And we're on mindset week 1 because it is important and critical to start with your mindset. So imposter syndrome. It's a good buzzword. We hear a lot about it, but what does it mean and what does it feel like when you're going through it? We're also going to talk about some of the things to help brush it aside and get rid of it, because no one has time for that. No one deserves it. And if you're dealing with it, chances are that you are a high achiever already, and it's not even something that anyone would even connect with you. Imposter syndrome. It looks like self-doubt. Am I good enough? Am I able to do this? What does that look like? What do I feel like? It feels like this is impossible. Why did I say I could do that? It also looks like undervaluing your contributions. So looking at, oh, I only did a part of this. When I was working at the agency, and I would hear it primarily from the women who were working on projects, we would go into meetings with clients, and I will know that everyone, let's just go ahead and say everybody, that the team had worked really hard on the work that we were presenting. And I would see specifically women go into these meetings and say, like, did this research, or we thought that this, and all of a sudden kind of was part of every other word. And as the vice president of that department, it drove me crazy, because I knew that these women knew what they were doing. I knew that these team members had worked their butts off to be able to present and find those findings, dredge those findings for insights. Now here they were presenting, and it was their time to shine, and they would be saying that they did this, or they were just part of this, or I helped this. No, you did it. You either do it or you don't do it. And when they did it, they would do it at an A+ level, but they were only taking credit for a tiny portion. So it's really undervaluing those contributions and what you bring to whatever you're working on. It's also attributing success to external factors. Oh, the moon was in, I don't know, this constellation and everything worked out. Oh, I got lucky. How many times have you heard or said yourself, I got lucky and this is why this happened? Another way that we look at imposter syndrome, because you might feel like you got lucky, but you were still in the right place in the right time, and that put you there because of the hard work you've done. You got lucky because of the work that you've done to get to that point. So there's no luck. It was hard work and preparation, right time, right place, because you did it. So take credit for it. It's also sabotaging self-success. It's looking at procrastination or requiring things to be perfect and feeling that pressure to be perfect in every single way, because we can't all be perfect. And as I've talked about many times lately to various individuals, perfection is boring. First of all, who defines perfection? Secondly, what's perfect for one person isn't going to be perfect for the other. Third, who wants to be perfect? No one. Unless you're trying to get an A+ for a class that you really need that A+ for, no one wants to be perfect, because you're going to be boring. Because sometimes those differences are what makes us unique. And people don't pay for perfection. They pay for your perspective. And I think that's really important to remember. So another thing about imposter syndrome is it's setting unrealistic expectations. Oh, I can do these 40 things. I know I'm guilty of this. Oh, I can do that. I can do that in the next hour. Can I really do that in the next hour? Some of that's a little bit of time blindness from ADHD that is a continual work in progress, but setting unreal expectations for yourself is going to create more imposter syndrome. And it also feeds on each other, right? Because if you're setting expectations and you've put too much pressure on yourself, then you're going to have trouble getting it done. And then you're going to start to worry and get anxious because you're not getting done on time. And no one wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to live that way. So let's set that over there and throw it out, because we don't want to, like, even just talking about that and doing that. Ugh. Okay. We're going to shake it off and move on. Another thing is that, and this all goes hand in hand, is that continuous fear of not living up to expectations. Who's setting the expectations? Who are you worried that you're not going to live up to? Is it your clients? Are you worried you're not going to live up to your clients' expectations, so sometimes you won't even start? Or that your clients are going to learn that you might not know what you said or what they think you should know? And do you even know that? Sometimes I've noticed, and I've been guilty of this in the past too, is that we spend so much time trying to get what we're presenting to an A+ and make it perfect. And that difference between let's say, I'm just going to stick with grading because apparently the professor in me is coming out, but that difference between the work that goes into a B+ or an A- level work for clients and that A+ might be 8 or 10 hours. And usually that 8 or 10 hours are not budgeted, paid for, part of the project scope. However you want to bill your time, however you do it, it's usually not included in that time frame, because the B+ is more than good enough. The client doesn't know what they're expecting. And if your client, hi, no one's going to notice that difference between the B+ and the A+, for the most part, unless you have one of those really intelligent, amazing clients like I do, and then you work hard to the A+ level for everybody, right? So the last thing on this list right now that I want to talk about with imposter syndrome is that it also looks like burnout. When you get to that point where you're so exhausted that everything is hard and you're just not good enough and you feel like you're falling behind and everyone else is doing better and everyone else is making so much money, or it looks like it, and everyone else looks perfect on the internet except for you. And when you start to get to that point, it is burnt out. You are burnt out and you need some grace and attention and just time to let all that go. Because once again, even just talking about it, I can okay, tossing that aside over there. So as we look at all of those things from imposter syndrome, there are things that you can do. There's reasons where it came from and how it came from. And sometimes it's how you grew up. Sometimes it's that fear and that need to be a part of something and a group, and that fear that something will happen and you won't be able to be part of that group. There's a lot of different triggers that can happen over the years as based on how we grew up in society and culture and everything along those lines. And sometimes what can happen is that things will trigger that imposter syndrome. And a lot of times once you get in that loop, it's hard to get out. So we are going to talk about how to get out. But I want to just one more thing. I think it's important because I didn't mention this earlier, and it's, as you look at imposter syndrome, it's that need to be perfect, right? I said that already. It's that need to people please, making sure that everyone else is happy, and whether or not you're taking a second seat to that and your happiness or what you need is secondary. That's part of imposter syndrome, as well as a fear of failure. Absolutely. And that comparison quick story about the comparison thing. When I was first starting out and starting my own business, and like I said, if you've heard some of my stories in the past, I was an associate vice president of, sorry, it's such a ridiculous title, I forget what it was. I was associate vice chancellor of marketing at one of California's largest private nonprofit universities, and it was a big job. It was a very big job. I managed a pretty significant budget, managed a team, and then I moved on to an agency where I moved over there to get my hands dirty and start playing around with marketing again. And within a couple of years, I was managing the whole department because I'm not good at following. I'm better at leading. So we're just going to lean into that. And that's why I started my own company, is because eventually I just realized that was the case. But what does that look like? I started my own company because I'm better at leading, but then I found myself following. I found myself following what other people were doing. And I found myself looking at what other people were doing, figuring out how they were doing it, and trying to understand. I put together a program and a course that was similar to what I taught at the colleges, only this one was based on, for specifically entrepreneurs. And I put this program together and I was trying to teach it, and I was modeling myself after these people who were showing up as perfect online. And I just realized that wasn't where I needed to be. Like, it actually took a woman, and I thought this was really funny, but it took somebody telling me in the program, one of my piece of feedback I got was they appreciated how real I was and how real I am in my approach versus other digital marketers and people that they've seen and worked with and saw online, because there was too big of a gap, right, in their mind from where they were to this level of perceived perfection of what the ideal is, what they should be. And they didn't see how they could get there. They didn't necessarily want to get there. I remember specifically because she said it in a chat, and she said, I really appreciate how real you are. And I, in my head, translated real to a hot mess, because that's how I'd been feeling that day. And so in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a hot mess. Like, she even said, I'm real. That's not what I want to be. And it took a while to let go of that comparison, because I didn't see anyone succeeding in the way I wanted to succeed who was like me. And so I didn't believe it. It took a while, and it took some hard work to be able to let that go. Sometimes when I start researching things to see what I'm doing or what I want to talk about or different ways to do things so I can get a bigger perspective, I can still get lost in that, because it's like, oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, I'm not that person. Oh, I'm not that person. Oh, I'm not doing it this way. Maybe that's the right way to do it. There is no right way. That is the imposter syndrome talking. That is that need for perfection talking. There is no right way. Like, I'm like, oh, let's fight that. Let's fight that idea. So it's getting rid of it. It's casting that aside, so that way you can clear the path to make room. Because if your brain is focused on all of those things, you have all of these things in your head, and none of that energy is going forward toward your goals or towards the person you want to be and the business you want to build. So let's try and get rid of it. And how can you do that? How did I do that? So there's a couple ways that I worked on that. One is I found a great coach who was able to help me. Two is I learned NLP so that I could help myself. And then I realized how much it helped me. And I went back and became certified as the master practitioner so I can learn to help other people. And so that's something I've been doing in specifically the last 6 months, because it's just been amazing to be able to do for people. But there's some tactics that you can use that'll really help. So one thing that I do is I have a folder of, I think it's like folder of badassery or something on my desktop. And I keep it there. It is screenshots of anything, like the compliments from clients. It's screenshots of comments from past students who've come back to tell me how much being in my classes has helped them and changed how they think. It's those snapshots and those things. And those are all captured in that badassery folder. When I'm not feeling it, I go and look at it. And I remind myself, oh yeah, I have done that. Oh yeah, I did do those things. Oh yeah, I have a award in my, gathering dust on my shelf from being the top marketer in higher education from the American Marketing Association one year. I can do this. And I can help others do this. Because it's not rocket science. It's not hard. It's just you have to find your own way. And it's easier to find your own way when you know the path to take it. So I use those tools to help me remember who I am. And I align with my values. Knowing my values and being able to help others find theirs helps me re-engage with those things that make me. My value is not perfection. My value is impact and purpose and curiosity. And without those things helping me re-engage, then I remember what that is. And I remember the things I'm meant to do and the things that I'm already doing because I know what my goals are. So another thing that helped me is sometimes just writing it down, right? If you sit down and write down how you're feeling and what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Some people hear a tape recording in their head. Some people hear various voices. Some people feel a physical weight on them. And some people visualize different scenarios of not being perfect or being cast out or whatever that looks like to them. We all see this and feel this and hear this in different ways. And I think it's important to find the way for you that'll help just knock those feelings out of the way. So writing down what you're feeling. And then I almost find like a fun game of poking all the holes in it to like find the lies, right? Like once your mind tells you these things, like re-engaging and saying, is this true? No, it's not, because you've done it before. Is this point over here true, that things need to be perfect? No, because who decides what's perfect? Do they do? Who are they? Who are these people that decide what's perfect and what's not? And why do they think that you need to be perfect? So it's starting to ask questions. And like I said, I always like picture that I'm trying to poke holes in something to see like, how real is it? When you start to ask the questions to expand where those feelings are, it is amazing how you can expand them until they just dissipate. So it's looking at what that is. It's remembering to celebrate small wins. A lot of times we go through and we say, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's what we've done. And you accomplish something and then you move on to the next task. And then you accomplish something and you move on to the next project. And then the next, and then the next. And you never stop and pause and celebrate those things that worked well. When was the last time that you stopped to celebrate a small win? Drop it below. I want to know, because I want to know what the win is so I can help you celebrate too. Wesley is also, as you wish, I want to celebrate too. So tell Wesley and I what those wins are. And it's really also looking at reframing, right? So as you're poking holes in your beliefs and starting to see what is true and what's not, Wesley is all about this. Okay, let's be clear. He's very excited about helping you with this. Some of the things you can do is focus on data. Is there data that can support what you've done in the past? And that can be past projects, that can be past wins, that can be past celebrations, that can be clients won, that can be proof. If your brain is one that needs proof or patterns, start to find those patterns that support what the beliefs you want to have. Not the beliefs that you have to be perfect, that people are going to toss you aside if you're not those beliefs. Throw those away. But instead, find data to support the beliefs that you want to have and reframe those. The idea is that a lot of times our brains put these feelings and thoughts in our heads and they're not real. So it's our job to be the investigator and find them, pluck them out, and toss them in the ocean. Toss them over that way. It's that way. Toss them away because we don't want them anymore. And so counter those with facts and experiences and what's possible. Focus on what's possible and what you can do and what you really want versus the reasons why you can't, shouldn't, can't have, don't deserve. Those are things you don't. We want to get rid of those. The things that you should, get rid of those. Get rid of those. Instead, let's focus on the positive because there's a whole world out there. There's a whole world out there, and there's so many things that you can do, and there's so many things you can do with your business, and there's enough for all of us. And you are perfectly perfect just the way you are, wherever you are today. Because you are making the right choices and the right decisions to help grow your business to how you want it to reach your goals one step at a time. And sometimes those steps turn into giant leaps. And sometimes those steps feel like they're baby steps. And sometimes those steps feel like they're 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But you're still moving in the right direction. And you're still making those choices because you've decided that your beliefs And the things that you've decided in the past aren't worth holding on to, and you can get rid of them. And if you need help doing that, let me know. Happy to help you. That's one of the services that I offer. And if you are, once again, if you have those wins and you want to share them, drop them below because I'd love to help you celebrate. Here to help celebrate with you and keep your mindset up and growing, because the world deserves your business. The world deserves what you bring, and the world deserves you to be perfectly perfect just the way you are. All right, until tomorrow, I will talk to you later. Bye.